time now for the sports with Scott. And Scott, something happened last night that hasn't happened in 39 years, 1945.
That's right, a long time. And I guess if something's worth waiting for, maybe Chicago fans are enjoying it. You know, the Cubs had to wait, as Jim said, 39 years, but their fans are forgetting the past 39 and enjoying this one. We'll take a look at the highlights from last night's game. Also be checking out the Davis County Cross Country Invitational, so stay with us.
The Shell Oil Company announces its new gold standard in gasoline. New SU-2000 Super Unleaded Gasoline. So unique, it's patented. SU-2000 is designed to reduce critical intake deposits that may be causing engine knock. It helps keep your engine clean mile after mile. New SU-2000, a gasoline designed for the way you drive today and tomorrow. High-octane SU-2000. Shell's new gold standard in gasoline.
Dee Huddleston's missed Senate votes have all Kentucky talking. But let's look at the votes Huddleston does show up for. Huddleston voted to give away our Panama Canal. He voted for the Carter-Mondale grain embargo. On using our tax dollars to create 116 new federal bureaucracies, Huddleston voted yes 116 times. And Huddleston voted against letting our children pray in school. This is the experience Kentucky depends on? More good reasons to switch to Mitch.
It was less than 40 years ago that America turned to the radio for election coverage. Today, they turn to Election Watch on Cable News Network. Election Watch, instantaneous campaign coverage from anywhere in America. From the Iowa caucuses in February to maybe your own hometown today. Every day, watch Election Watch on Cable News Network, America's election headquarters.
After 39 years of waiting, Chicago Cubs fans finally had their night as the Cubs wrapped up the National League Eastern Division Championship in Pittsburgh with a 4-1 win over the Pirates. The Cubs got out of the gate early. Here in the first inning, Gary Matthews lines a shot to center. This will score MVP candidate Ryne Sandberg and gives the Cubbies a 1-0 lead. Then in the third, Rick Sutcliffe helps out his own cause. Sutcliffe gets an RBI single off the glove of Johnny Ray. This will score Larry Boa, and the Cubs all of a sudden are up 2-0. That was all Sutcliffe needed. Later, a little insurance as Keith Moreland will lay down the bunt and Jim Morrison will throw the ball away. That allows Sandberg to come around and score all the way from second. And again, Sutcliffe had more than enough runs. He was awesome last night. The big right-hander fired a 2-hit gem and faced only one batter over the minimum, 28 batters in getting the victory. Here's the clincher in the ninth, a called third strike, and the 39-year overdue title is in the bag. Manager Jim Fry of the Chicago Cubs gave credit to his boss, Dallas Green.
And I appreciate the nerve that Dallas showed. Nobody in baseball works harder, and he went out and did some things this year that took some nerve, and I appreciate it because he gave us some great players, Jack.
Came out of spring training, we played pretty good on the coast and came home and played good. I felt then that the team had enough stuff to get it done.
I had real good location, and I had a lot of incentive. You know, we knew what was out there. We didn't care what happened in New York, or you know, we wanted to win it ourselves, and it's been a great year. This ball game, you know, right now it seems like a lot more important than any of the others, but we had to win 90-some ball games to get here, so tonight's just kind of icing on the cake.
Even though the Cubs weren't there, they opened Wrigley Field up last night. The fans poured in and celebrated into the early morning hours. Well, if you want some tickets for the Cubs National League Playoff Series against San Diego next week, Tuesday and Wednesday in Wrigley Field, forget it. They put 7,000 seats on sale to the general public, and the Cubs received over 2 million requests for those tickets. Well, the only championship now left to be decided in Major League Baseball is in the American League West, where Kansas City leads Minnesota by a half game, and the California Angels are just about out of it, 3.5 back. Tonight, the Angels must beat the Royals. That game will be played at Kansas City, while Minnesota takes a 5-game winning streak into its game with the White Sox in Chicago. As expected, the Owensboro Red Devils dropped in this week's Associated Press high school football poll. OHS was beaten last Friday night by Madisonville 20-0, and the Red Devils drop into a 4th-place tie in this week's 4A ratings with Christian County. Shelby County moves into the top slot, followed by Oldham County and Madisonville. Now, the Catholic High Aces received votes in the Class 3A poll. However, they were not enough to crack the top 5. In this week's college poll, the #1 team is the same, but they're shuffling after that. Nebraska keeps the top slot, with Texas moving up to #2, and Ohio State moving up a pair to the #3 spot. Penn State State jumps into the 4th slot. Boston College is all the way up to number 5. For the first time in memory, there are no Southeastern Conference teams in the top 10. Supposedly, this is a down year in that conference. The highest-rated SEC team is Georgia at number 12. Auburn is rated 19th. Well, the University of Kentucky, a team that is rated 25th in this week's Cable News Network poll, has rolled up some pretty impressive numbers in their first 3 wins, enough to place them in the nation's top 20 in a couple of offensive categories, and also to get quarterback Bill Ransdell and fullback George Adams listed among the nation's leaders. Now, as for Adams, the flashy 225-pounder from Lexington, he broke for 139 yards on 31 carries and 2 touchdowns in the Wildcats' 30-26 win over Tulane Saturday. That raised his season total to 390 yards on 81 carries for a per-game average of 130 yards, good enough for 11th nationally. Kentucky as a team is 10th in rushing as the Cats average 286 yards a game. Ransdell completed 9 of 14 passes for 101 yards against Tulane to raise his season output to 449 yards and an average of 150 yards a game, 11th in the national rankings. Kentucky is 5th in scoring offense with 40 points a game and 13th in total offense. The defense also shows up in the national stats, 8th against the rush, allowing only 78 yards per game on the ground. Back with more in just a moment.
Everybody knows us, we're windows, and Owensboro, we're proud to call you home. We've been here almost 50 years.
You could say we're pioneers.
Every day means super values and the best from all across the land. Windows.
You can count on windows, serving the country's best people
with the country's best food.
In the West, where Levi Strauss & Company began, how your clothes feel has always been just as important as how they look. That's why Levi's Action Slacks have an easy care fabric that gives, plus a waistband that moves with you. It's a feeling of comfort that's capturing more men every day. Levi's Action Slacks. A real comfort from Levi's Menswear.
After this, the #1 video on MTV's Countdown.
Find out who's on top every week on the MTV Top 20 Video Countdown. Every Friday night, we'll count down the top 20 video songs in America, and you'll hear from the bands as they break the top 20.
The MTV Top 20 Video Countdown.
Every Friday night at 11 o'clock Eastern, 10 Central, and again on Saturday afternoon at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 Central. Where else but on MTV Music Television?
High school girls have defended their championship in their own invitational cross-country meet this afternoon at Hillcrest. WVJS Cable 2's David Wallace was on hand and files this report.
Cloud cover cooled the air sufficiently to make it an excellent day for running. At least it was to the liking of Davis County's youth movement. Sophomore Ann Ray and 6th grader Sonia Kirby. Those 2 Davis County Lady Panthers asserted themselves as possibly the 2 to beat in the region this year. Ray led from start to finish to win the women's varsity race. And Sonia Kirby came from behind to pass Madisonville's Monica Whitfield in the final 50 yards of the race to give Davis County a 1-2 finish. The Lady Panthers finished first with 27 total team points as Jackie Payne got a 5th place finish. Jennifer Barnett came in for 9th and Linda Chin 10th. Team-wise, Webster County surprised Madisonville for 2nd with 59 total points to Madisonville's 68. In the boys' junior varsity race, Christian County finished 1-2 to take the team title with 33 total points. Davis County's Paul Warrenfeldts finished 3rd, Troy Atkins right behind him in 4th, and the Panthers came up with 42 total points. Madisonville was 3rd with 57. Grayson County finished with 141. Moments ago, the boys' varsity was just getting underway. I'm David Wallace, Cable 2 Sports.
David will have the results of that boys varsity tonight at 10 o'clock along with highlights. The Portland Trail Blazers of the National Basketball Association said today they've agreed to contract terms with their #1 draft choice, Sam Bowie. Now, the former Kentucky All-American hasn't actually signed yet, but the deal is agreed to and will now be drawn up. Bowie is expected to be signed at the Blazers' first practice. That'll be coming up this Saturday. Now, Bowie was the #2 choice overall in this year's NBA draft and reportedly has a 6-year deal that will make him the 3rd highest paid rookie ever to come into the league. And also signing today was Auburn's Charles Barkley. So a lot of basketball news too, Jim.
Thank you, Scott. Melinda Colbert will be back tomorrow evening. Coming up at 10 tonight, Dave Benz, David Wallace, and Gary Clayton will update the Cable 2 news, sports, and weather. Thanks for watching, and good evening.
WVJS Cable 2 Television News. Thank you for joining us each weeknight at 6. Depend on WVJS Cable 2 to bring you Owensboro's next complete newscast at 10 tonight when David Wallace and Gary Clayton join Melinda Colbert for WVJS Cable 2 News at 10. This has been a presentation of WVJS Cable 2 Television News.